I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. There's another Patreon request, this time from Mr. Majestic. As for a film called Runaway Train from 1985. Now, I heard about this film. I might have seen this a long time ago. And by the way, if those interested in requesting pretty much any type of reviews or re-reviews, topics, reactions, you just send your request directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. But Runaway Train was actually released by Canon Films, Golden Globus. But they had a director, Konchalovsky, who would go on to kind of direct Tango and Cash, because he directed most of Tango and Cash, but then he got fired because the producer, John Peters, was a fucking dumbass. That's another story. But I love Tango and Cash, but this was, even though it was a Canon Films production, I guess they really left the director alone, and so it created this film where it actually got Oscar nominations, especially for the two lead actors, Jon Voight and Eric Roberts. And Runaway Train's about these two prisoners. One is this older guy, Jon Voight, who he was in a prison cell that was welded for like 3 years, and finally people on the outside said, you can't do that. And Jon Voight is a bank robber, and he's a guy who only cares about himself, and he's not really that great of a human being. He has this prison escape. This younger guy who's a boxer, Eric Roberts, which, funny enough, the person he boxes early on is Danny Trejo. And they escape through the sewer system. They go through the snow because it's midwinter. They get on this train. And then soon after, the conductor of the train, he dies of a heart attack. Now it's a runaway train. And it cuts from the command center wondering what they should do. Should they derail the train? One of the people is actually T.K. Carter, who is one of the actors in John Carpenter's The Thing. He's the guy who's on the roller skates, like the cook. Meanwhile, Jon Voight and Eric Roberts, they hear this horn, this toot toot, like what the hell's that? As Rebecca De Mornay, she's in this, and she works on the train and has to convince them, no, this is a runaway train. And you did some pretty good stunt work with them having to traverse from one train to another, like one area to the other, I should say, and among the snow. And there's some really well done direction with the stunt work, with them almost falling off the train, being almost dragged by the train, unhooking some cars to maybe slow it down at least a little bit, figure out what to do next, some infighting between each other. So I give credit with how they really made it seem as if they're really on that train during the winter, and some of the stuff that goes through physically on that. The score, I thought the score definitely was at times very eerie, and I think Trevor Jones did the score. He did a pretty damn decent job with it. I don't hate this film. I will say part of me feels it is overrated because it's put on these lists of the best action films of all time. I don't see it. I think Speed, which did a similar thing to this, well, that was a runaway bust because of different reasons, but I thought Speed was much better than this. Unstoppable with Denzel, and I thought that was Denzel Washington. That was much better than this. Like, this one, you're not really supposed to like Jon Voight's character. That's kind of the whole point. But, you know, him and Eric Roberts got nominated for Oscars. And while they do have their moments, I think overall their performances are not as good as people make it out to be. That's just my opinion. You know, as at least not Oscar-worthy performances. I mean, I know they were nominated. I don't think they won. I could be wrong on that. But on watches, I'm like, they seem very over the top to me. They seem very over the top with their accents and the way they talk. And Jon Voight, like, hey, you want my blood? Here! You know, throws blood in a guy's face while in prison. And it's like this. You have a performance that, with a few little bits, people made fun of an anaconda. Although I like that. That was more fun. And he's meant to be the bad guy. But here it's almost just as over the top a lot of the times. And then Eric Roberts, he's doing this southern accent, but it's, I wasn't sure if it was southern New York or a mix of South York. I mean, New South. I mean, it just, at least he's out front with his bullshit. That's literally a line reading. At least he's out front with his bullshit. I don't know, when I look at Eric Roberts, I liked his performance in The Ambulance more. I mean, that's more zany, but it kind of fits with that film, and that's a performance I get more behind than this. Like, I mean, again, they do have their moments, but at times it just seems over the top that it's almost laughable, these performances. Like Eric Roberts with his accent, I thought he was hamming it up a bit. Like when he's talking to Tiny Lister Jr., who's a guard, while they're making the steep, and he's got Jon Voight in this laundry hamper. He's talking like, hey, how's it going? And, oh, wow, he sees a Playboy to get the guard's distraction. With the pussy on that thing. You know, she may be white, but that don't mean she ain't right. I mean, just, this is an Oscar-nominated performance. I liked Eric Roberts. Don't get me wrong. I liked Eric Roberts quite a bit. But I'm sorry. I've seen quite a few Eric Roberts roles that I thought were better performed than this. Same with Jon Voight. I know I'm alone in that, but it just, when I say they have their moments when they're fighting each other, and then they realize how ridiculous it is fighting each other, while Rebecca De Mornay is trying to break it up, that's a good moment. When the warden that hates his ass, he comes onto the train, and Jon Voight handcuffs him, and talks about, you know, John P. Ryan. That's an actor who's been in a lot of stuff. He talks about how he's going to die, you're not going to be free, and Jon Voight looks at him and goes, I am free. And I guess for a movie that gets so much hailed as one of the best action films of all time, it was okay. That's what I would say. At the end, it was okay because I guess some of the actors had their moments, in my opinion. Rebecca De Mornay, I thought, did a pretty good job. She was solid. Again, the way it was filmed on the train. But at the same time, I know it's not fair because this is 85. It did it well before that. But I thought Unstoppable, I thought the acting in that was more appealing to me, and I thought the action scenes were definitely had more punch to it. Again, that's not fair because that's, what, 2010 or give or take? But Broken Arrow, I thought had much crazier action on a train than this. And as over the top as John Travolta is, which people made fun of, I thought John Travolta did better than both of these guys. At least there's a reason why he's being a bit over the top here. I don't know. I just watched these two guys and I just felt they were really over the top with their accents and performances. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. So, again, I'm watching it. It's very direct to the point movie, which is appreciated, where prison, escape, train, runaway train. Again, cuts to the command center. What are we going to do? Cuts back to them on the train. We get over here. Jon Voight forcing Eric Roberts on a suicide mission. He wants to get back in. Jon Voight doesn't want to let him back in. Come on, you want to be a man? You do it. Rebecca De Mornay going, what the fuck are you doing? And try to get Eric Roberts back in. Like, that scene is one of the more effective scenes. The ending, for what it is effective. Spoiler alert, where Jon Voight settles on his fate. He has handcuffed the warden to the front of the train. He unhooks it so that Eric Roberts' Rebecca De Mornay is fine. Eric Roberts is yelling at him, just shut it down. Just shut it down. That's all you gotta do. But Jon Voight, he doesn't care. He's accepting his fate. Stands up and either he's just waiting for the last ride as it rides off to future derailment. And I think one of the reasons that made that scene effective was the score. It's a very eerie musical score. I mean, I can't say I gave a shit that Jon Voight's character died, because for the most part, I mean, he did something nice, to be fair, but for the most part, he's just a asshole. So, I mean, you say I missed the point, that's fine. Doesn't mean still make me like the movie more. For me, I would never watch this film again. I'm sorry. The actresses are fine, but again, I think it's been done better later on. Again, whether it be in Speed, whether it be in Unstoppable, whether it be in various other movies. The characters, Jon Voight, then you're not supposed to like his character because that's part of the point. Eric Roberts, I swear, I'm not saying this as a joke. I swear there is a lot of points I thought Eric Roberts' character has some kind of mental problem with the way he talked. I thought it was of mice and men. That's what it really made me think of at times, Eric Roberts' performance, that he was not the main guy, but the other guy of Lenny from Of Mice and Men. Tell me about the rabbits. That's really what I thought. I mean, again, for a performance that got an Oscar nomination, I've seen better performances by the guy. Again, I like him as an actor. That's just me, though. Again, I put his performance in The Ambulance with Larry Cohen above this any day. I'm sorry. At least that movie's meant to be like a dark comedy as well as a thriller. Just Larry Cohen. But this, at the end of the day, I thought it was okay. One of the best action films of all time. Sorry, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I did a list of my 100 favorite actions of all time. I wouldn't put it on there. I mean, it's worth a watch, of interest, from the decent scenes of the outside shots of the train. Having it be in the snow, I could imagine just how much tougher that would have been to do that. I thought they made it look rather effective and realistic. And, it gave a bit of a different look instead of just a plain train running by. Having the snow keep hitting it and gave it a bit of more dynamic look. But yeah, I can't really say I like the characters much, or gave much a shit about the characters. Yeah, I think some of their performances a bit over the top. And the action scenes are fine, but I wasn't blown away, considering the hype I've heard about this film. That's just me, though. And you want to talk about canon films, there's multiple canon films I like more than this. That's just me, though. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. Get mad at me all you want, people. It's not going to change my mind. I can only give my honest opinion. See you guys later. Bye-bye.